Hello, I'm Steve Kime, Director of Public Relations and Marketing for the City of Enid, and welcome to City Connections. As you can see in our backdrop, it looks like we're at the state capitol. Therefore, we must have a special guest. Well, our special guest today represents District 19 here in Northwest Oklahoma, and that special guest is Senator Patrick Anderson. Senator, thanks for being at the ETN studios.
Thank you very much for having me.
I know you have a busy schedule. Thanks for joining us. Why don't you have a seat, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in a legislative session. Right off the bat, people want to know, okay, you represent 4 or 5 counties, I believe it is, for District 19, which is rural counties in Northwest Oklahoma. So what are you working on for us, if we could just pose the question that way?
Well, I represent Garfield, Grant, Alfalfa, and Kime counties in the legislature. And the number one issue in our district, in our area, is transportation. Our roads and our bridges need repair, and the issue that I'm working on is trying to get more funding for those projects so that we can get those roads in great condition.
And this is probably a great example that you're trying to find the funding to keep up with the roads in just normal wear and tear, but then you throw in a rainy season that adds to that problem, and you're thinking, now wait a minute, we're just trying to catch up with normal wear and tear. And what kind of problem does that pose? And not necessarily for our district, but across the state.
Well, as everyone is aware, we've had some massive flooding down in the southern, southeastern part of the state, which has taken a lot of attention and a lot of money for those repairs. And that's important. But we still have the ongoing needs that we have on our roads and bridges statewide, and certainly in District 19. So fortunately, the Department of Transportation does a pretty good job of allocating funds equally across the state. When we have special circumstances, they're going to have to allocate a little bit more to take care of some of those funding issues. But it is a constant challenge, but we're making improvements every day.
Okay. Well, we know there was some budget shortfalls, and probably transportation was one of many organizations or departments that did not receive all the funding that they needed, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Senator, if a young person is watching our City Connection show and they're saying, I wonder what the best thing is about being a state senator, how would you answer that question?
Well, I grew up in Enid, Oklahoma. Okay. And the best thing for me is to represent my hometown in this area that I love, and the legislature, to go to Oklahoma City to talk about what's important to my community, to represent those values. We're very independent up here in Northwest Oklahoma, and that's a voice that needs to be heard down at the Capitol. We have a strong opinion that we want government to do certain things, and we want it to stay out of our lives most of the time. So sometimes it's not what I'm accomplishing at the legislature, but maybe what I'm trying to stop from happening at the legislature. But it's always been a pleasure and an honor for me to serve and represent Enid and Garfield County and the other counties that I represent as well.
Sure. Well, when you look at the backdrop here at the Capitol, we realize that you're representing Enid and surrounding counties in that area, but you also have other senators and representatives representing Northeast, Southwest, Northwest Oklahoma, and they all have the same heart and passion for their communities. So how does that all work?
You know, it's a wonderful working environment because everybody comes from a different background. They have different issues in their district. You know, we don't really get into arguments, Republican versus Democrat, like some people might envision. Usually it's urban versus rural Oklahoma. And the big cities of Tulsa and Oklahoma City might band together to work on projects that are important to them. But typically the rural legislators band together for projects that may be important for southeastern Oklahoma or may be important for northwestern Oklahoma. But it's a unique environment and a lot of fun to work in.
Well, this past legislative session, I guess you could say, is in the books. And if there are 1 or 2 successes, what would they be, based on your opinion?
I'd say the two successes. One big challenge we had was the budget going into the year. And I'd say the number one success there is we were able to keep education funding whole. The second big success is texting and driving. We passed a ban on that this year in the legislature, and I think that is highly important because I'm a parent of teenagers. It certainly concerns me about them not paying attention to the road, having that temptation to text. And I think having this law in place will hopefully reduce the number of accidents that occur because of texting.
I may be old school or something, Senator, but when I'm on the I-40 or I-35 and I see somebody doing this and they're at 65, 75 miles an hour, my wife says, get away from those people. So I don't know if I should have said that or not. But it is a safety concern. And so
absolutely it is.
Parent or no parent, it's still a safety concern.
Absolutely. And I think we're making steps in the right direction.
Okay. Now, in the southeast part of Oklahoma City, there's this huge mound of dirt, and there's this big concrete facility down there called the Native American Museum, or a title close to that. And I know recently in the newspaper or in other media outlets, they had recorded or mentioned that you were opposed to the museum, but my understanding is that you weren't necessarily opposed to finishing that museum, it's just that you didn't want to borrow money to finish it, correct?
That's correct. I'm not opposed to the existence of the museum at all. But we have spent $91 million on that museum, and it's only half finished. Right. The promoters of the project have asked for another $80 million to complete it. The issue before the legislature had been a $40 million bond. The problem that I had with that is that it would cost $67 million of the taxpayer money to eventually pay off that $40 million bond. And I proposed that we take money that the state receives from the gaming revenue that the tribes pay into the state and use that money to complete the museum, not borrow the money. That's not the plan the legislature ended up going with, but that was the position that I had on the issue.
Oftentimes we lose sight that senators and representatives are involved in committees. They're doing other things besides, say, representing their district. In your case, I want to make sure I get this right, you're the vice chairman of the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. Can you tell us what that role is all about as vice chairman?
Well, it's a great honor for me to serve as vice chairman of that committee. Oklahoma is the home of hundreds of thousands of veterans. We're I believe the leading state of the number of veterans percentage-wise in our population. So our role is to try to improve the lives of veterans, make sure the services that they are entitled to receive are being received. One of the things I have been involved with as vice chairman of the Veterans Committee was getting the Vietnam Memorial here in Enid named the official state Vietnam Memorial for Oklahoma. And so I'm very proud of that, very proud of the veterans and the military families that we have in our state, and it's an honor for me to serve as vice chairman.
I had the privilege of doing a City Connection show with going out to Woodring Regional Airport and doing a show and a story on the Vietnam Memorial, and we're just pleased to have it here in the Enid area. You're watching City Connections. My special guest today is representing District 19, Senator Patrick Anderson, and thank you for being with us on City Connections. You mentioned earlier about it's not necessarily Democrat, Republican working against each other, but you've got representatives and senators representing their portion of the state. And let's talk a little bit further about that. How do you all get along? Because if you're trying to pull for money in your district or this project or this, how does that happen?
Well,
in 20 words or less.
In 20 words or less. We get along very well. People are very passionate about certain issues.
Sure.
And sometimes, people can get at odds with each other. But at the end of the day, we do the work we have to do at the Capitol. And when the day is over, we shake hands, we walk outside, and we're friends again. But it's very important to have relationships with the other legislators so that you can get what's important to your district accomplished in the Capitol. Yeah.
Here in Enid, we're going through this building boom, if you will, with the coke nitrogen and the wind farm at Breckenridge. Things are really going. Oil and gas has tempered just a little bit, but other things are going on to drive the economic development engine here in Northwest Oklahoma. Statewide, from your perspective, Senator, what does the state need to do to just get this economic development engine going all across 77 counties? What can we do?
Education is the number one issue we've got. We have got to improve education. We've got to improve funding for education. We desperately need to increase the pay that we have for our teachers so that we can attract the best and brightest to our classrooms. We need to increase the number of college graduates in the state of Oklahoma. We need to increase training through the career tech centers so that every student has an opportunity, whether it's to go to college or to pursue a profession straight out of school. We want to make sure that they are work ready and capable of having a successful career.
I think as Oklahomans, we're concerned about Oklahoma and our district and really our part of the world. But is it safe to say that the other states, Kansas to the north and Texas to the south, just different states across the country, are they facing similar dilemmas that Oklahoma is facing? Or are we unique, or is everybody in the same boat, if you will?
Well, I would say we are unique in that we have an abundant amount of natural resources. We have an abundant amount of wonderful people. We have a wonderful quality of life here in Oklahoma that not all the states have. So we have a lot in on our side. But facing economic challenges, recruiting businesses, trying to grow businesses, we are always in competition with other states to try to create the best environment for that. But we're winning. Oklahoma has been attracting an enormous amount of aerospace industry jobs. We have a great industry here in Enid, Oklahoma in that area. We've attracted some Boeing engineering jobs and to the state, and we can continue to increase in that area. The one great thing we have, we're centrally located in the United States. We've got a lot of airspace.
Crossroads of America, I think they call it.
Crossroads of America. So Oklahoma has a lot going for it, and Northwest Oklahoma is very key to that.
And in the meantime, we have an NBA team. And that's exciting about, it's Oklahoma City Thunder. But, I've left a Thunder game to come back to Enid, and there is just as many cars on I-35 or whatever road that are leaving the Chesapeake Arena. I mean, it's an Oklahoma team, and that's exciting. It's just not Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. It is exciting, and it is Oklahoma's team for sure.
People from all over the state support the Thunder. My wife is an educator, and I remember in the early years, people would come up to me and say, well, man, you only work 9 months out of the year as a teacher. You got the summer off. Boy, what a great job. And she would make a comment and say, well, yeah, I do get a break, but I'm also in preparation for the next school year. And there's probably someone watching City Connections today. And I said, no, listen, these guys are in session from February, 1st of February to sometime in May. What do they do the rest of the time? So, all right, Senator, what do you do the rest of the time?
Well, it's not exactly a part-time job. All year long, we have responsibilities and duties as legislators. We will have meetings beginning in the fall about budget coming up for the next year, having other meetings on certain legislative issues. We have meetings around the community. I represent 4 counties, so I've got several communities to visit, to talk to about what's important to them. So it's pretty much a year-round job, but certainly when we're in session, it's very concentrated on our time.
What is it like, or what would be the steps if you're in session February to May, and it's, let's say, April, the time of year of April, and somebody wants to come see you? Okay. What's the process of going to the Capitol? If you're in committee meetings all day or you're in session, how is someone who drives all the way from Garfield County, how can they see you?
Well, the door is always open, and they're always welcome to come to my office. Sometimes it helps if they call and make an appointment to make sure that I'm not going to be in a committee meeting. But if they come to see me and I am in a meeting, I will do my best to excuse myself from the meeting to visit with them. If they took the time to come to the Capitol to talk to me about an issue that's important to them, I certainly want to take time to listen to that.
Sure. And the thing I like about the Capitol is I think it's just a gorgeous facility. And you've got this great artwork, you've got the rotunda, you've got the Guardian. I mean, it's just a gorgeous Capitol. And for a school outing or for a grandparent outing, just go and tour the Capitol and see what's going on. And we didn't talk about this earlier, but there is this remodel effort going on at the Capitol. What can you share with us about, I think the process started earlier, but what can you tell us about where we're at in the remodel of the
Sure.
Of the Capitol? Not the rebuilding of it, but remodel.
We do have a beautiful Capitol building, and probably one of the best parts of my job is giving school groups from my district tours of that building. There is going to be a lot of construction going on the next few years. The building was built in 1917. It still has the original plumbing from 1917. It still has a lot of original wiring from 1917.
That goes to your office, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was built on a dirt foundation. So it has some settling issues. So there is $120 million worth of repairs that are going to be going on in the Capitol over the next few years, and they're doing it from one end of the Capitol to another. So it'll be kind of piecemealed as it goes along. So it'll take a while to get it done, but in the end, the Capitol building will be in great shape for decades to come.
Very good. Well, we are just thrilled that you took time to come to the Enid Television Network studios. We're excited about our studio and our city government channel. It gives us the opportunity to update folks in the area about city government, City of Enid government, but also the state level. And we just appreciate you coming by on City Connections today and giving us an update. If Senator, somebody wants to contact you, and I don't know if I may put pen on the spot here, but we've had a way of putting some information up on the screen of how they could contact you, call you, or email. But what's one easy way for them to reach out to you?
Well, the easy way is just to look in the Enid phone book, and my number's in the phone book. Give me a call. If you want to contact my office at the Capitol, the phone number's area code 405-521-5630, or you can send me an email at anderson@oksenate.gov. I read all the emails that come to my office, so please feel free to contact me, and I will get back in touch with you, and we'll try to help you with whatever the issue might be.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time this morning. We're going to let you get back to work.
All right.
And thank you for joining us on City Connections.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. And thank you for joining us on City Connections. I'm Steve Kime, Director of Public Relations and Marketing for the City of Enid. Look forward to bringing you another special guest in the near future. Until that time, make it a great day.